Some people are unable to answer a certain question. Can a car with a strong V8 engine and a weight of almost 2 tons be the forerunner of contemporary versions with front-wheel drive? Rather than compact, fuel-efficient cars, the answer lies in the classic 1966 Oldsmobile Toronado, from a period when Detroit was still at the forefront of mechanical power. In the world of American cars in the 1960s, when power was always routed to the rear wheels, the Toronado appeared to be a shock. It was a pioneer who dared to go against the grain. It was not only a luxurious two-door coupe, it was a statement that boldness may influence the course of events. Today, we'll open that old movie reel again to see why the 1966 Toronado is considered the most innovative vehicle of the 1960s and how it quietly changed the whole American auto industry. To really comprehend the Toronado's chutzpah, we must go back to Detroit's post-World War II era, when Oldsmobile was ushering in a new era of power and technology. Oldsmobile was more than just a General Motors brand at the time. They functioned as a bold laboratory where young engineers had the ambition to bring modern mechanics to America. Additionally, its most significant development in the 1950s, the rocket V8 engine, fundamentally changed how Americans thought about speed and power. But as the 1960s approached, consumer preferences shifted. Americans desire a car that is not just powerful, but also luxurious, streamlined, and a reflection of their own style. The personal luxury market began to expand with models like the Ford Thunderbird and Pontiac Grand Prix, which forced Oldsmobile to provide a superior product. At that time, the Toronado idea was created, an idea so bold that even GM staff questioned its feasibility. It was a large two-door coupe that weighed about 2 tons and had front-wheel drive. This design broke nearly all American technology standards at the time. But it was just that daring that shaped history. The Toronado did more than simply break with tradition when it debuted in 1966. It opened up a whole new future for American automobiles. When Oldsmobile's engineers decided to equip a coupe weighing more than 2 tons with front-wheel drive, they understood that the hardest part would not be the idea itself, but rather how to make it work steadily, firmly, and long enough to withstand the enormous torque of the rocket V8 engine. Consequently, the Toronado's drivetrain system was completely redesigned from the bottom up, leading to a new architecture called the Unitized Power Package. The core element of this system was the longitudinal engine design, but instead of going straight to the rear through a drive shaft, the force was transmitted laterally by a high-O steel chain. The V-shaped links of this industrial chain reduced sliding and increased contact area, enabling it to support very high weights. The HYO had to transfer all of the torque from the torque converter to the TH425 automatic gearbox, which was placed transversely parallel to the engine. The TH425 was essentially a condensed and inverted TH400 transmission, but it was designed to handle larger loads because the differential was housed in the same unit. Here, engine power passed through the HYO chain into the torque converter and then into the planetary gear set of the gearbox. The front differential, which was enclosed with the gearbox, received power from the transmission and then passed it on to the 2 driving half shafts. The key component was the asymmetric half-shaft arrangement. In high-power FWD cars, torque steer is usually generated by the length difference between the 2 half-shafts. However, Oldsmobile reduced the force disparity between the 2 front wheels by employing an intermediary shaft and certain joints to balance the torsional load on the Toronado. As a result, the torque distribution was more consistent and there was less directional pull during fast acceleration. Additionally, the front suspension was designed to carry out all of its primary duties, such as steering, providing force, and cushioning impacts. Oldsmobile used heavy-duty control arms and deep-set torsion bars to build a structure that was both robust enough to handle torque load and flexible enough to deliver the smoothness expected of a luxury coupe. Another important technical factor that was often overlooked was packing space. The drive shaft that ran the length of the vehicle was removed, concentrating the whole drivetrain to the front. The floor could be made completely flat, as neither a drive shaft tunnel nor a rear differential were needed. The flat floor reduced resonance and vibration entering the cabin and enhanced comfort because the primary spinning sections were all at the front. The cooling and lubrication system was also redesigned to make room for the combined longitudinal transverse drivetrain configuration. The TH425 gearbox has separate fluid lines and cooling channels, as well as a dedicated oil cooler, to ensure steady temperatures during extended high-torque operation. All things considered, the front-wheel drive system of the Toronado was a whole new architecture, with each component, from the differential location to the HYO chain, designed to solve a specific problem rather than a modification of previous technology. How to enable a large V8 engine to pull the entire car with just two front wheels, while maintaining stability and durability. When the Toronado originally came out, many didn't think it was a new car. They saw it as a familiar face, arising from the great history of America. An icon that was more than 30 years older than the contemporary cars of the 1960s served as inspiration for the Toronado's design. Cord 810-812. The car whose innovative design and front-wheel drive system astounded the world in 1936. Instead of copying it, the Toronado adopted that mindset by interpreting it to match Detroit's high horsepower era. It has a calm, powerful presence when seen from the front. The horizontal slit grille that is fully integrated into the front bumper makes the automobile appear to be going forward even when it is not. The entire lighting system is hidden behind flat coverings and consists of a pair of disguised headlights that, when activated, open like the eyelids of a huge mechanical beast. From the front windshield to the back edge, the Toronado's continuous fastback roofline creates an amazing aerodynamic and futuristic form along its sides. The wheel arches, which rise forcefully from the body like steel muscles, draw attention to the tremendous size of the unusual 9.0x15 tires. In addition to being aesthetically beautiful, every crease on the Toronado's body is intended to create the illusion that the car is always in motion. The car's rear end gives off a whole different vibe. It's soft, elegant, and almost the opposite of the aggressive front end. The tail lights, when fully extended, give the car a grand but balanced look. Its lengthy body proportions, wide hips, and low roof give it a stance as solid as a block of stone. Its design is unlike any other car from the same era made in Europe. Despite this, the cabin's design language honors American elegance. The sleek two-spoke steering wheel, the sweeping dashboard with its rolling drum gauges, and the shiny metallic switches all combine to create a place that seems both traditional and futuristic, as if Oldsmobile intended the driver to enter a vehicle of the future while retaining the essence of the 1960s. There is more to the Toronado than just its beauty. It is so beautiful that spectators pause for a few seconds to simply take in each line because of its visual power. It was bold and continuous, unlike anything else that could be found on American roads at the time. After the 1966 Toronado explosion, Oldsmobile underwent a phase of modification and completion of this groundbreaking car. The drivetrain was improved by Oldsmobile in the beginning of 1967. The 425 cubic inch rocket F8 engine's horsepower remained at 385, but its torque climbed from 475 to about 480 lb-ft. Even though this was not a statistically significant improvement, GM focused on throttle response and smoothness in the low RPM band. The TH425 transmission's gear system was also enhanced to provide power more smoothly. Softer materials were used inside, the grille was slightly modified, and the concealed headlights were improved to open faster. In 1967, Cadillac used the same foundation and drivetrain to construct the Cadillac Eldorado. demonstrating the reliability of the UPP technology. In 1968, the Toronado received a major technical improvement. Oldsmobile shifted to the 455 cubic inch V8 engine, one of GM's well-known power units. While horsepower slightly decreased to 375, torque increased to 510 lb-ft. This was a purposeful alteration. Oldsmobile wanted their luxury coupe to have a lot of low-end pulling power to fit the driving style of light throttle, fluid glide. The ignition system, fuel pump, and compression ratio were all adjusted to meet the pollution standards of the late 1960s. The 1968 exterior was mostly unchanged. An revised logo, a revamped grille, and sharper taillights. Despite this, 1969 was a year of progress. The 455 engine was tuned to provide stability on long travels, reduce vibration, and smooth out the mid-speed range. Horsepower and torque remained constant, 375 horsepower and 510 pounds of torque. Oldsmobile extended the life of the TH425 gearbox by adding larger oil cooling plates for high-load conditions. The 1969 version included a stronger front bumper, a wider front grille, sharper body lines, and a little refinement. The cabin looked more luxurious, with power-adjustable seats and darker wood trim. In terms of look in particular, the biggest change since the Toronado's debut took place in 1970. The distinctive concealed headlights of the Toronado were removed. To simplify the electrical system and adapt to shifting market trends, conventional exposed lights were substituted. But the most notable feature of the W34 performance package was its appearance. A larger carburetor, a high-performance cam, and an improved exhaust system allowed the Toronado W34, the most powerful vehicle of the first FWD generation, to produce 400 horsepower and about 500 lb-ft of torque. The GT package included standard front disc brakes, an upgraded differential, and a sport-tuned suspension, a bigger radiator, a more powerful electric fan. And modifications to the cooling system were also made to the 1970 Toronado to address the high temperature issues that big displacement engines have while operating continuously. It is clear from retrospection on the 1966-1970 Toronado's journey that this car was more than simply Oldsmobile's bold endeavor. It functioned as a bridge connecting the past and the future, pure mechanical power, and innovative technical ideas. Toronado was proof of a period in Detroit's history when the city dared to experiment and ask, what if we did things differently? Thanks to the greatest front-wheel drive system available in America at the time, Toronado proved that a large, heavy car with a monstrous V8 could nevertheless operate smoothly and stably with just two front wheels. This accomplishment created a new way of thinking in industrial design and paved the path for America to go toward FWD cars 2 decades later, when space optimization and fuel efficiency were the dominant themes. The Toronado's unique design, which blended ferocity and grace, made a lasting impression. The aerodynamic lines, the sleek fastback body, and the concealed headlights all helped create a design style that collectors today consider to be among the most identifiable from the 1960s. But perhaps the Toronado's greatest legacy is the spirit it symbolizes. It captures the essence of a Detroit that isn't afraid to try new things, fail, or move on. A Detroit full of people who believed that steel, machine oil, and imagination could create the future. And because of the Toronado, that future arrived far sooner than anyone had predicted. Thank you for traveling with us on this historic journey. Thanks to those who love cars, history, and the roar of a V8 engine, the channel has been able to endure and grow. If you would like to see more stories about classic cars that capture the spirit of Detroit's golden period, please hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to make sure you don't miss the next video. And before you leave the video, I have a question for you. In contrast to other modern cars, how do you feel about the Toronado's design? Leave a remark. Sincerely, I'd want to hear your story.